This is Congressman Michael McCaul, Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Sir, good morning to you. New York Times found this when asked the question, how much blame, if any, do you think Kamala Harris as sitting VP should receive for that withdrawal? A lot or some is at 50%. Your report, I've seen it. It's a blister. Tell me what you found.
Well, Vice President Harris was the last person to leave the room after this fateful decision was made to go to zero. And that meant taking all the military out, all the contractors, all the air power, which then left the Afghan military in shambles. And then eventually, Bill, left our 13 servicemen and women completely unguarded, and suicide bomber killed them and 170 Afghans, and also wounded 45 other American soldiers. And it didn't have to happen. I think the biggest exercise here is what can we do to ensure that something like this never happens again?
I don't know how we do that, but we got to do it right. And the images of the faces we're seeing on screen are etched in our minds forever. A couple of things you found. The Doha Agreement was not followed. The report found that Biden and Harris are advised by top leaders that the Taliban were already in violation of the agreement. NATO allies had expressed a vehement opposition to the withdrawal, and on and it went. Here is when Kamala Harris was asked about that. It's a quick clip. Listen here.
Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
So that was then, and here is Pete Buttigieg, over the weekend suggesting that you and other Republicans are just playing politics in an election season.
First of all, of course, I haven't seen what's in the report coming out tomorrow, but I do have a question about what they're doing over there. If they've had 3 years to assess what happened, why are they delivering a report after Labor Day in a presidential election year? I think it really feeds into a sense that this is something they're using as a political football.
Response on that, sir?
Well, 2 weeks ago, Vice President Harris said the evacuation was brave and courageous. They kept calling it a success. It was not. Pete Buttigieg has not read the report. He said that. Look, you know me. I'm a federal prosecutor many years. I did this very methodically, weighed the facts and the evidence. I didn't jump to conclusions like some others may do. It was not a political exercise, Bill. This was an exercise in getting to the bottom of what happened. And I took it very seriously. The reason it took so long, quite frankly, was the first year the Democrats were in power, they did nothing. So for 2 years, I've been serving subpoenas, threatening to hold witnesses like the secretary in contempt to get the documents, to get the testimony that we got to get this report I have today. Now, we're not even finished with this investigation. But I can tell you it wasn't political at all. The fact is, every top general, every intelligence community officer warned against this. And yet the White House had rose-colored lenses about what's happening on the ground. The truth was coming up. The truth was manipulated and then spun out to the American people that everything's going to be just fine. Well, guess what? It wasn't. And you know why? Because they didn't have a plan. There was no evacuation plan as required by federal law. The day the plan came out was the day the Taliban overran Kabul. Too little, too late.
Yeah. Michael McCaul, that clip I ran of Kamala Harris was from 3 years ago. We'll see whether or not this comes up tomorrow night, 3 years later. Thank you for your time coming on today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bill.
Sure.